Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Ranjan Patel, your pharmacology faculty at Marrow, and I'm delighted to introduce to you another topper from INICET May 2022, and his name is Dr. Armaan, and he has got a great rank of rank 9. And he has also just finished his internship, and what could be a greater way to be rewarded after you get your degree and finish your internship? Rank 9, and he was primarily aiming for the NEET PG exam. INICET just happened to be just before the NEET exam, and he has gone all guns blazing for the INICET as well. And I don't think he would require the NEET exam anymore, but he can tell us more about that. And he is also a Molanian, and MEMC is on an onslaught this time. And welcome, Arman. Welcome to this session. And please say hi to everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. And and I'm very happy to be here. And after my rank, I didn't believe that I got this rank, and I'm really happy that I was able to get a rank after my internship.
Okay. Arman, so see, whenever we get a result, there are few elements that run together in our mind, and they are like surprise, elation, relief, right? So, which was predominant in your case?
Yeah, sir, it was really a relief to get the result more than the surprise or elation because there was so much confusion regarding the answers that I didn't know how I had done in the paper. So to
Mhm.
finally know the result was a relief that yes, it's over regarding all this confusion, and so I was relieved to know the result first. And then after that, I was quite happy with the rank as well.
Yeah, so this time it was kind of an atypical exam, and it can get into the confidence. It can get into the bones of anyone, isn't it? But
Yes.
anyways, you have come out as a winner, and that's a great feat. Arman, now coming into the preparation for the competitive exams, you know that we have to do a lot of things, and one of them is Marrow. And I'd like to ask you, what role did Marrow play in your preparation?
Sir, I started doing Marrow when I was in final year,
Okay.
and I used the videos mainly to prepare for my professional examination at that time, because
Okay.
during the lockdown we needed some resources to prepare, and yes, I did my final year subjects from Marrow at that time, and
Great.
sir, I did the Qbank of the respective questions at that time, and so then
Mhm.
during my internship year I did the Marrow Qbank and gave the grand tests as well.
All right. See, you have done the final year subjects from Marrow, and it happens so that sometimes we get influenced more by some faculties, academically, non-academically. So, can you tell me a couple of faculties who influenced you more?
Sir, I really like Rakesh sir's medicine videos. I wanted to have a comprehensive study of medicine during my final year because I also like medicine, and also since it was our primary subject at that time, so I wanted to really do well in medicine. And so
Okay.
secondly, I also like Rohan sir's surgery videos because he really teaches in a very concise way and in a very conceptual manner. So these two are my most favorite faculties. Other than that, I also like Abbas sir's ortho lectures and Chaitanya sir's anesthesia lectures as well.
Great. And I think these teachers would be more than happy to hear about this. And see, one thing I'd like to ask you is, see, a lot of juniors would be looking up to you because you'll be a trailblazer, and our juniors obviously they always try to follow us when we get something. They would like to know that how did you actually use the Marrow videos? I mean, see, to begin with, we watch the videos after solving the Qbank. Some students they watch it and then they solve Qbank. So, what is your way with respect to watching videos and solving Qbanks?
So, sir, I had actually taken the printed notes with the videos. So, first I used to read the notes for that specific lecture I'm going to watch, and then I
Mm-hmm.
used to see the video after that. And then after that, I used to solve the question bank to know if I've understood everything or if I need to
Okay,
make any changes. So, I used to do it that way, sir.
great. So it's an interesting approach. So you first used to study the notes, then watch the videos, then solve the Qbanks, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's an interesting approach. And see, while watching through the videos, going through the videos, uh, would you like mention the most important points by somehow, or keeping competitive exam in the mind? Would you pick up some points from the videos and write down separately, keeping revision in mind? Did you do that?
Yes, sir. Not initially, but when I started solving questions, and I knew that what could potentially be questions, because over some time we start realizing that what are the types of questions that are being asked, or what are the topics that I might have seen previously on a grand test or on a previous year question paper. So then those topics automatically start becoming more important in our minds, and we study them well.
Okay, great. So that is required
So,
for
so I
preparation
used
for the
to
revision. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I used to mainly look at the image-based questions, or if there is any new concept that has come, or any specific treatment modality which is specific to that condition. So those things I used to see.
Okay, okay, okay. So great. Now, I'd like to ask you one thing. I mean, as I said, your juniors, they would be looking up to them. And when I say juniors, I don't mean only MAMC, throughout India, right? And they would be looking up to you. And what would you advise them, keeping in mind how you had prepared, how to use Marrow videos to the best practices, to the best of their abilities to extract more out of the videos?
Yes, sir. I think the video should be the notes should be used along with the videos, because the videos have a lot of conceptual explanations which are not there directly written in the notes. So yes, the note should be read along with the videos, and adding any conceptual points that are written given in the videos. And so then the note should be revised along with the question bank once at that very time after completing that topic, so that that topic is done once properly, and then it should be revised at the time of examinations before the grand test. And so yes, repetitive revision is what is key to being thorough with the notes.
Yeah, so he has mentioned an important point, right? So, guys, whoever are listening to us, finishing or wrapping up the course is not important. How much you remember after wrapping that up is important. And for that, repetitive revision is important, right? So, you need to keep that in mind. How much you remember at the end of the day is more important than just finishing or wrapping up the course. So, Arman, one pillar of preparation of our competitive exam is videos and notes, etc. Another important pillar is the Qbank, because our exam is MCQ based, and Qbank plays a major role, right? So, what I would like to ask you first thing is how bullish you were on the Qbanks. I mean, how much you are aware about that Qbank is also an important part of preparation.
Yes, sir. I think the question bank is a really important tool, since on the exam day we are going to be solving about 200 MCQs. So we should be in the habit of answering those MCQs on a daily basis. And sir, and also reading the explanation to those questions is also very important. In those questions can get repeated in the form of the options being repeated as a separate MCQ. And we also study all those topics given in a single MCQ together. So that way we are doing a much more high revision as compared to just going through the notes or the videos, since a single question can have four options, and then we are studying that in much more detail. So I think it's a much better way of revising and also going about our preparation for the exam.
Yeah. So great. So Arman has told an important point here, that whenever you solve a question, it's not about the right answer only. Also about the wrong options. Why those options are wrong? Because specifically in INICET exams, the questions are not repeated, but you'll have questions from the other three options which are not right or which are wrong. So you should know why those options are wrong as well. I'd like to ask you one more thing, Arman, which is a doubt of all many students. They ask me, while solving a question, suppose you'll get some questions right, some questions wrong, and did you used to go through explanation of all the questions, or only those whose answers you got wrong?
So I used to go through the explanation of all questions, but then if I used to get a question right and I used to know the explanation or it's already there in the notes, so I just used to just go through it once. While if I get a answer wrong, or if I see a like a new option which I didn't know before, so then I used to keep that either as a screenshot or add it in my notes as a point. so that then later I could revise it.
Okay, another important point Arman is mentioning here is that whenever you get a new point, right, uh, you'll read it once, you might forget it, and you might not have the time to go back to that explanation time and again. So what you just need to do is you need to fish out those important points, add them at an appropriate place to your notes, so that in future whenever you revise your notes multiple times, those points also get revised. But yeah, you have to be picky. You have to be picky in which points you are picking up. You cannot pick up all the explanation, otherwise your notes they will become bulky. So that is one thing you'll realize while solving Qbank, which points are more important, and that is something that gets into your head, right? And second thing I'd like to ask you, regarding solving the modules, did you have a specific target every day that these are the number of modules I need to solve, or were you kind of a happy to go kind of guy, like as many as I could solve in a day, I'm okay with it?
So during my postings, I didn't have like I had variable time every day. So
Okay,
even if I tried to keep a specific target, it wouldn't have been possible. So during my
true.
posting, whenever I used to get time, I used to open on my phone and I used to start solving, and then I used to review it when I used to have time to review the questions. So yes, but
Mhm.
on an average, I used to solve about at least 40 to 50 questions every day. Like I stayed in that habit. Yes, sir.
Okay, so all interns who are listening to us, you need to realize that first of all, being an intern, I mean, it does not give you an excuse that you cannot do it. You can do it. We all have ample amount of times, right, during our internship in between, and because we have the luxury of apps and smartphones now, any half an hour, 1 hour break in between, we can utilize to solve the questions at that time at least, and that is how you need to keep going, right? So, uh, tell me something about the bookmarks. I mean, how bullish were you on bookmarks? How much did you use them?
Sir, initially I started using the bookmarks for every wrong question I used to get, but then I
Okay.
realized that if I start marking every wrong question, then again it will be very hard for me to go through all of them. So, sir, later
Yeah.
then I started using them only for like if I felt that when under the question if we see it's a repeat question or like it's a neat question, so I used to mark those specific questions which were either repeat questions or potential aims questions or neat questions. So I just started marking those questions in the end.
Yeah. So again, an important point, guys. You need to understand that you cannot bookmark each and everything because the volume will be so much, it would be of no use. I mean, again, it will be counterproductive. The very purpose of bookmarking would be diluted. So what Arman has said rightly is that what he used to bookmark is those topics which are frequently repeated. Right. For example, if there is a question from lithium or digoxin, right, or amiodarone or valproate, you know that these are the pet topics. The questions would be repeated, and if he was not able to solve a question from these topics, which are the pet topics, he used to bookmark those. But if you get a question from a very weird new drug, right, and suppose a map, a very new one, and if you're not able to solve it, it's okay, it's fine, because you don't know which map they're going to ask, and there is an army of maps nowadays. So you have to prioritize what you're going to bookmark, basically, right? Otherwise it becomes counterproductive. Second thing, Aman, tell me, how much did you use the custom modules in the Qbank?
So custom modules like I started doing the custom modules before I started giving the grant tests
Okay.
because initially when I had a little hesitation to start giving grant tests. So before
Mhm.
starting those, then I started doing the custom modules because the custom modules can give me an idea like how it will be on the real exam because the distribution of questions is random. So instead of going all out for the 3 hour grant test, I used to do a 100 question module, a 50 question module, so that just to prime me before the actual grant test, so that
Okay.
so that I'm in the habit also, and then I have little hesitation to give the grant test. So I used it that way.
Okay, so this is an interesting case. I mean, before going to grant test, he kind of created his own grant test, mini grant test kind of thing, mini test, and so that he can be more confident when he goes to the grant test. And custom modules are when you combine different topics or different subjects. What happens is you kind of get a challenge to the brain when you're solving questions from just one topic. It kind of becomes linear, right? And by de facto some questions you start to get right. So that's great. And see, uh, what are the some advices will you give to your juniors while solving Qbank, so that because you must have learned from your own mistakes, or or about things you have done right, you must have gained a lot of experience by now. So what are the advices would you give to your juniors so that they can get maximum out of the Qbank?
And I think that the Qbank should be solved just as soon as we're studying a single topic. So that
Okay.
specific Qbank should be solved either on that very day or that or the next day only, because that way because we are doing notes in a flow. So at that
Mm.
time it is easier for us to go through the Qbank as well quickly. But like
Great.
usually what I did was I used to wait, like I'll do it after some time. So that way a lot of my a lot of my topics were piled up in the end, and then solving them all together in the end is not so fruitful, because then I cannot add all of the important things in the notes again. So it gets like a backlog is created. So I think it should be done then and there along with the notes, and then during the revision, the wrong questions can be revised, the bookmark questions can be revised, and GTs can be given.
Great. So this is the golden advice that he has given, guys. Do not prolong solving the questions from that topic for too long. Otherwise, because I'll tell you one thing that happens, the collateral benefit of solving QBank is whenever you study something, you solve a question and there is an important point. After solving the question, it happens that that point will stick to your mind. Right? It's an unusual human behavior that happens. And second thing is, there is no time. So if you keep on delaying things, things will keep piling up, and it will create unnecessary pressure on your mind, right? On your conscious mind. So that becomes difficult. All right. So Arman, we talked about the videos, notes, QBank. They have their role. There's no doubt about it, right? There is no doubt about it. And but these will create the gold, but to create an ornament out of this gold we need a hammer, and the hammer happens to be the grand test, because without that hammer we'll not be able to shape this gold which we have. So tell me, when did you exactly start giving the grand test?
So I started giving grand tests about in December last year. Like
Okay.
before that, I had given one odd test, but not no, like on a regular basis. I started after December, and I used to at least give one grand test every month for the first 3 4 months, and then I did it about two weekly after that from March.
Okay, you told me initially that I'd like to know, I'm just interested that you are not too much comfortable going into giving grand test. So can you tell me what was that inhibition that was holding you not to give grand test?
So during the beginning of my internship, like I thought very idealistically, as if I'll complete all the topics first, and then I'll start giving the grand tests. And I tried doing that for the first 2 months as well, but then I soon realized that will not be possible. I'll have to do it
Hmm.
along with my preparation, because even the grand test will give me a hint about how my preparation is going on. So I
Great.
then later then I started doing custom modules followed by grand tests then in December.
Okay, so guys, this is what we need to learn from Arman, that grand test is something you cannot delay for too long, right? Even if you have completed one and a half subject, you can still start with grand test, because there are a lot of collateral benefits of grand test, and we have talked about that earlier. And so you need to start as early as possible with your grand test. Now, Arman, I'd like to ask you that, I mean, when you were serious, you started giving grand tests, right? How many grand tests did you used to give in the beginning, and did the number of grand tests gradually increase towards the end?
Yes, sir. From in the first 3 or 4 months, I gave about one test every month,
Mhm.
and then after that, sir, in the last 8 weeks, I gave 4 to 5 grand tests.
Okay, so guys, once you get the hang of grand test, you'll start enjoying them. Initially, it might be a stress, because when you have not studied or revised a lot of subjects, you might get depressed, right? But you'll see what happens is when you cover a lot of chunk, a lot of stuff, you'll begin to enjoy the grand test. Now, another important thing I'll ask you about the grand test is whenever we give a grand test, we have to review the questions as well, right? So, were you kind of guy who would review each and every question, or you had a priority set that these are the number of hours I can afford for review, and I'll only review those questions which I got wrong, or which I left the questions. Those which I've done right, I'll not review them, or I'll selectively review only few questions. So what was your idea about the review?
So I always used to think that I'll go through each question even if I won't give it a lot of time. Like if I've got a
Hmm.
question right and I know all the options, but I'll still go
Hmm.
through it just to so that that would make me revise the topic just in 1 or 2 minutes. And then, but if I used to get a question wrong or if there was a new option, I used to give it some time to go through it. And if it needed to be added in the notes or it needed to be bookmarked, so for that question I used to give it some time. So I used to try to review that exam like in that week only. If I give that
Hmm.
exam and in the following weeks, because of the internship, it wasn't possible to do it in the next few days. So in the next week, I used to review that paper whenever I used to get time and add the important points in the notes and try to revise those topics in that week.
All right. So, and tell me something about your GT analytics. How did your performance improve with time?
Yes, sir. Initially, I wasn't performing very well. I used to get 130 to 140 correct initially,
Hmm.
and but then after
Hmm.
that, I started to see which topics I'm getting wrong and study those topics well. And also, like I found out that I had a problem in remembering in those topics which needed to be memorized. So I gave some time to those topics. So then
Hmm.
slowly my score started increasing, sir.
All right. So GT Analytics basically told you that where you have leaks in your boards, so that you can seal those leaks off gradually. So that is something, the algorithms, they help us nowadays. And tell me something. Did you revise the GT questions in the revision period? Would you recommend revising the GT questions during the revision period?
So actually, I used to mainly add those topics to my notes, or I even kept a separate the like copy of about 10 pages in which I wrote those topics in very short detail, which I thought that I needed to be revised or some important points. So in the end, I didn't go through the test again, but those topics
Hmm.
as I revised in the end.
Okay. So Arman, we have to study. We have to do Qbank. We have to give grant tests. But we are humans and we are not programmed robots. So we need some. At times we tend to get depressed and stressed when our target is not achieved. So tell me something. Did you use any kind of stress busters in between, like dance or music or sports? Did you do anything?
Yes, sir. And during my up till my final year, I used to play cricket in college, and so
Okay.
that was my stress buster till then. And then, sir, after during my internship, I didn't have enough time for for sports at that time. But so
Mm.
definitely, I used to just enjoy with my friends in between, and you listen to music or watch a show in between. So I used to do all those things, sir. I was
Okay.
not it was not possible to study the whole time.
Yeah, 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 that's obviously. So, what are you? Are you a batsman, bowler, all rounder, keeper? What are you?
Sir, I'm a bowler.
Okay, fast bowler or spinner?
Yes, fast bowler, sir.
Great, great. So, I hope we can play sometime. Okay, so cricket is
Yes.
one of my fav as well. All right. So, all right, guys. So, tell me something. Right, Marrow as an app, it has a lot of features, right, to offer to the students. Tell me any specific particular feature that you liked the most.
Sir, I like the in the videos when we can skip to that specific topic that I would like to. So even if I wanted to revise a topic and say I had not added that to the notes, so I could go back to the video anytime and just listen to that topic and watch it at 2x speed and quickly revise that topic. So that was the feature I used the most since I like to go through the videos again if I had missed any topic.
Yeah, you can go to any subtopic in the timeline and you can just be done with it. You don't have to search in the timeline for that particular video. So, Arman, right, you, as I said earlier, a lot of students they would be looking up to you. And what are the advices would you give to your juniors, right, throughout India, to do so that what they should do to try to get possibly where you are today?
So definitely there are a lot of things that need to be done, but no one should really stress out about that. If I have to tell everyone one thing that needs to be done, that is to give grand tests mindfully and to revise those topics repeatedly which are being asked. It is never possible to finish the entire syllabus or the entire notes even till the end. But what needs to be done is to revise the previous year topics and the grand test topics repeatedly. That should be fairly sufficient.
Okay, and one last question I'd like to ask you. Uh, after doing Marrow in the final year, uh, if I can take, if I have a time machine, I take you back to first year, right? Would you make some change in the way you approach your medical education till now? Would you make any change in that?
So I think in the first 2 years I would not make any change since my teachers and my college were really good at and teaching, and I really enjoyed just studying for the college exams at that time. I wasn't really thinking about the post graduation. But says
Hmm.
definitely after my third year onwards, like when I was studying, I would have really liked to complete my things side by side, my questions, my notes, which got a little delayed. But other than that, I wouldn't really make any change.
Great, Arman. So, congratulations for this great journey, landing at a great rank. And this is congratulations from the entire Marrow team, from all the faculties and everyone associated with Marrow. And all of us, we wish that you reach greater heights, even more than this in your life, and be whatever you desire to be, a great doctor, a great human being, and help patients out there. And finally, what would you like to be? I mean, I have got the sense of that you want some medical branches. So what do you want to pick? Is it medicine or surgery, or which branch would you like to pick?
Yes, sir. So I would like to pursue internal medicine for my PG branch,
Hmm.
as I've been interested in it since my UG days.
All right, great, Arman. So all the best to all of you from the entire Marrow team, and thanks a lot for joining us today and enlightening your juniors who would be looking up to you for many advices, not only today but in the future as well. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.